Let's talk about the Epstein continued debacle, the unforced error that is causing a rupture, causing a tear in the right, unnecessarily so, because you have folks on the right who believe that being loyal to the Trump administration means excusing every unforced gaffe by members of the Trump administration. And you have, I'm not calling them sycophants. Maybe I have already, and maybe some of them act like sycophants. You have people defending the indefensible. And the indefensible here is not Trump's not implicated. The indefensible is not asserting Trump's innocence or non-implication in the Epstein files. The indefensible is defending this debacle that is now going on 6 months of the bungled release of the Epstein documents, or the failure to launch of the release, which led to Bindergate, which led to 6 months of some infighting. People saying, no, Trump is telling us to not care about it anymore, move on. Some of us didn't. Some of us took flack for that, only so that 6 months later, Trump can come around and say, yes, okay, I agree. It's important, release it all. And you have that only after Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna join forces to some extent on this particular issue, only on their behalves to have their coalition co-opted by anti-Trump activists on the left. And then people say, well, look what Thomas Massie's doing. He's causing damage to Trump because his move to force the release of the documents is allowing the anti-Trump rabid TDS-afflicted people who still think Trump is a pedo in the files to coalesce together and use it as a cudgel against Trump. That's not Thomas Massie's fault. People need to understand that. That is Trump and Bondi's fault. And I should say this, it's Trump's fault for putting Bondi in a position to cause this problem for no better reason. Now, some of us have been on this from the beginning, and some of us have been saying, holy crap, when Trump is told to believe that this is a hoax that the Democrats are going to use against him, it's because people like Pam Bondi haven't actually really meaningfully looked into the files, and they see Trump's name all over the files, and they say, oh my goodness, it's going to implicate you, so we've got to stall and cause a bunch of problems doing what we never needed to do in the first place because your name's in it, and they're going to say you're implicated. Dumb. It was a bad decision what Bondi did. It discredited all of the so-called far-right MAGA influencers who came to the White House that day, who got caught up in Bindergate. It discredited them through no fault of their own. The Liz Wheelers of the world, the DC Dranos. I don't say discredited them to anybody who knows the story, but it allows and facilitates an argument of discrediting them for those who want to. Every anti-Trump TDS-afflicted idiot, and I would even dare say some of the DeSantis holdouts, just post that picture of binders and say, oh, look at these idiots. Why would you trust anything they have to say? So Bondi, I don't think actually knows what was in the files. I'm convinced by that theory, and that's if I want to impute incompetence to this bungled mess. And if I want to impute malice, well, then you say, if someone were trying to sabotage Trump and cause a fracture, discredit the most vocal voices in the pro-MAGA camp, if someone wanted to do all of that, what else would they be doing different? So Bondi, after the Bindergate, after 6 months of pushback from people who deeply want this administration to succeed, and I'm talking about myself, so you can't just forget about it. You can't just move on from it. This was a litmus test issue from the beginning. And go back and look at my X account and put in Viva Frei litmus test Epstein files. You'll see it. Don't have the tweet handy right now. Maybe I'll find it. I said, this is a litmus test issue. If they don't deliver on this, people are going to lose faith, and they may or may not ever come back. 6 months later, Trump finally says, okay, fine. We're going to abide by this piece of legislation that Massie and Khanna put forward. And Trump signs it into law. They had 30 days to release all of the documentations, save and except for that which would identify victims, protecting victims, fine. Save and except for stuff which by law would need to be redacted or not disclosed. I would presume they would have to just, explain what it was that they were not disclosing and the basis of law for which they were not disclosing it. And on Friday, what happens? Let me just show you this. This is Thomas Massie, who retweeted a video from Caitlin Collins. And I mean, I'll tell you this. When you are allowing, through your bungled delivery, Caitlin Collins to look like she's delivering news, to look like she's, in the right, you're failing. Let me see this here. Put the volume up here. Listen to this.
We're actually in this morning talking, and we said, look, we're willing to give them some benefit of the doubt as long as the quality of the release is substantive. But what we found out is the most important documents are missing. They've had excessive redactions. And the central question that Americans want to know, who are the other rich and powerful men on the island raping these young girls or covering up, has not been answered.
So those two documents that you were told by the survivors' attorneys that are the most important, the indictment that came out before Jeffrey Epstein got a sweetheart deal and an 82-page memo backing up why he should be charged, neither of those are in this release tonight.
Neither of them are in the release. And to the extent the drafter's intent of a law matters, Thomas Massie and I explicitly drafted it to cover those two documents. And you had 3 federal judges look at our law and say, release everything in terms of the grand jury. You had judges saying release it, and then the Department of Justice is redacting it. Now, I know what they're thinking. They think, okay, it's going to be Christmas. They're going to do this release, and people are going to move on. I would just remind them that's what they thought, that the Trump administration thought when they shut down Congress early before the August recess.
Well, I could disagree with Ro Khanna there. If he believes that, that's a bad assessment. The last 9 months has shown that no one's going to forget about this. But this is Caitlin Collins saying, Rep. Ro Khanna, this is her tweet, says there were 2 key documents the survivors wanted released, a 60-count indictment before Epstein got his sweetheart deal, and an 82-page memo backing it up, but neither are in today's release. Then you got Thomas Massie saying, Attorney General Pam Bondi is withholding specific documents that the law required her to release today. Now, I said, in response to that, you can say whatever you want about Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, impugn their intentions, call them traitors, whatever. You can insult. They might be liars and they might be the worst people on earth. Doesn't change a damn thing. The Epstein failure to disclose has been the biggest and continued unforced error of Trump's second term. From Bindergate to this debacle, if Bondi were deliberately trying to sabotage this administration, I don't know what she would be doing differently. It's not 4D chess, it's amateur hour. And that's assuming you want to impute all of this to incompetence. Then I have people telling me, and I'm not stupid. I understand these arguments. His bill he co-sponsored literally included redactions. You're smarter than this, Viva. It's so original. And if I'm wrong, this is why I not test certain things with the internet. If I'm wrong, I will gladly correct, revise, and if necessary, apologize. This was the actual document. Like, I had to go and look at this and see what the hell was going on, because I saw a video and I thought, oh, this has got to be a joke. This is the document that was redacted. And it's however many pages of pure black. Now, note the number. It says EFT. It ends in 5590. That's the document. This entire document, even the number of lines per page, was redacted. The argument is going to be grand jury statements or grand jury testimony. It can't be disclosed. Well, it can be if the law provides for it, and the law does provide for it under certain circumstances. If the reason for which this was redacted top to bottom entirely in black was because it was grand jury testimony that by law needs to be redacted, you specify the redactions. Everybody knows there's codes for redactions. What you don't get to do is just black out an entire document with no explanation and then expect people to swallow it. And have them say at the same time, yeah, it's mainstream fake news. That's true. That we're going to need additional time, so we can't deliver. You had 30 days to do it by law. Absolute unforced nonsense. Now, someone did say to me, Viva, that document, they subsequently released it, and it's this. It's not this. As far as I can tell, it's not this, because I'm looking at the EFT, the number on the bottom. The serial numbers don't match. But what do you have here? Oh, United States Grand Jury, Southern District of New York. And yet you have the names of people that are redacted. And you have the parties. United States of America versus Ghislaine Maxwell. What is this? Oh, this is grand jury testimony that they can release? I don't know if this document is the other document. I don't think it is, because the numbers on the bottom don't match up. But don't give me bullshit and say, oh, you're so stupid, because I want to defend this administration no matter what happens, even if it's hurting them. Well, that makes you an idiot. You're complicit in hurting the administration. You claim to want to help. So I don't know if this document is the same thing. I just know that this looks a whole hell of a lot like some grand jury testimony, and it's redacted to protect people. Now, it looks like it's here. It's protecting the agents and the detectives, but I suspect it's protecting the witnesses as well. So there's no need to defend the indefensible. You're not helping anybody by facilitating their own self-destruction. What Viva won't tell you is the effing CIA is in charge of it all. I've said this multiple times. Go look at how many tweets I've put. First of all, I've on a number of occasions asked if the CIA has done a name check of Epstein and their files. I've had Mike Benz on in the past, and I'd love to have him on again. By the way, if they know that the CIA is involved in all of this, and this is what they're putting out as the distraction, here are your crumbs, they're complicit in the cover-up. So what you're saying still doesn't make any sense. Yeah, okay, fine. Let me take for it. I'll operate on the basis the CIA has everything. The DOJ knows it, and they can't. Well, they're participating right now in the cover-up then. So your explanation is actually even more corrupt than the one I'm offering, which is this is either an unforced error of the highest order, or people are trying to faction, and divide the MAGA Trump or the conservative movement so that the midterms are a wash, I should say a bath, and I won't use certain terms because the less those get taken out of context, and 2028 goes to the Democrats. And then all of these people are getting impeached, convicted, and removed from office. Pam Bondi will get impeached, convicted, and removed from office if she's still in office at the time. Because what's his face? Ro Khanna, from what I understand, has suggested he's looking to impeach potentially for the failure to do this in accordance with the law. Is this it? No, I think this is the same one before. Yeah, they're from what I understood, Ro Khanna had suggested taking the appropriate action for impeachment. And then there was a response to that from the administration, which I thought I had on the back burner here somewhere. Yeah, right here. From Eric Daughtry. Breaking. The Trump DOJ is telling reps Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna bring it on after they floated impeachment of AG Bondi on criminal referrals from the DOJ. I won't mischaracterize it. I'm just going to play it. Let's hear what he has to say.
Congressman Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna, the authors of the Epstein bill, say the partial release of files failed to comply with the law. They say they are considering looking into the possibility of impeachment proceedings, contempt, even criminal referrals for obstruction of justice for DOJ officials. Do you take these threats seriously?
Not even a little bit. Bring it on. We are doing everything we're supposed to be doing to comply with this statute. And Congressman Massie and these other congressmen that are coming out speaking negatively about Director Patel and the Attorney General have no idea what they're talking about. They know the work that we're going through. They know what we're doing to protect victims.
But just so you, I'm not going to be any easier on people, an administration that I like versus one that I would be critical of. They know, you know. The weakest arguments on earth are, that you're wrong. You know that what you're saying is wrong. No, tell me. We know what you've been doing. We know what the law says. Can you imagine in any other realm of the universe? I mean, I'm trying to comply with your subpoena, but it's hard. So I won't be able to do it within the legal time frame. But people go to jail for that. Oh, and by the way, you might want to learn from it. People have gone to jail for that. Democrats have put people in jail for that, for defying congressional subpoenas. You think if they get into power, they're not going to put people in jail for this?
I mean, just think about what we're doing. You're talking about 1 million or so pages.
1 million or so pages when Pam Bondi, what is it now, 6 months ago, said there's after saying it's on my desk, that there's nothing there to release in the first place. I mean, these explanations themselves, you can put a montage together and say, oh, I thought there was nothing. Now there's 1 million pages. You've had a month under the law to do it. You've got all the resources in the world. You think we're going to say, well, we tried our best, so we didn't comply with the law. So, never mind. No harm, no foul. You think that's going to fly if Democrats ever get back into the reins of power? impeachment, conviction, removal from office. And then maybe they're going to continue on with their RICO type bullshit that they did in Georgia. And they'll have the power to do it.
Of documents, virtually all of them contain victim information. So listen, the idea that Attorney General Bondi would ever let a single piece of paper go out of this department that contains victim information is something they know we won't do.
He did it again. They know we won't do that. Well, then redact it. You've had a month after 6 months. I know what people are saying in the chat. Like, if you wanted to think about someone who might want to sabotage Trump, you know, what would they be doing differently right now?
And the fact that they're threatening to impeach her for protecting victims is a reflection of where their head's at.
Nobody's accusing them of wanting to impeach her for protecting victims, but for not complying with the law. I mean, this is just bad logic. If this were remotely adversarial, that would be I'm sorry. They're threatening impeachment for failure to comply with what you've had a month to comply with after 6 months of saying you didn't have it in the first place.
It's not a reflection of this department. We are complying with the statute. We will continue to comply with the statute. And if by complying with the statute, we don't produce everything on Friday, we produce things next week and the week after, that's still compliance with the statute. There is well-settled law, as they should know, that in a case like this, where we're required to produce within a certain amount of time, but also comply with other laws like redacting information, that very much trumps, redacting information very much trumps some deadline in the statute.
Congressman Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna.
We're complying with the law, but there's exceptions that would explain us not complying with the law. So some deadline in the law. That looks like sabotage to me. Yeah, no, we're doing our best. How dare anyone want to impeach Pam Bondi for protecting victims? No, that's not what anyone is suggesting impeaching her for. What they will, however, impeach her for is not complying with the law. Oh, some deadline that's in some statute? Yeah, it's called the law. Oh, so you have a deadline, but because of the importance of something, you have more deadlines? Like some deadlines are more equal than others? Pam Walker says, do you follow Mike Benz on X? I posted a video yesterday by him following the money all the way back to the Iran-Contra affair. Absolutely. First of all, I follow Mike Benz. I posted another segment that he posted where, if we're talking the Epstein, he talked about that when he was on. Was it him or who else would have talked about that on my channel? Fairly certain it was Mike Benz. Went all the way back to Iran-Contra. And bottom line, he sounds like a Democrat. And he does. This is from Dirk Gently, who says he sounds like a Democrat and so does Bondi. Fire them all and put Ed Martin in charge with Alina Hubba 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 and his number 2. Absolutely. And we know Todd Blanche's history. This is not criticism for the sake of destruction. This is criticism because it's objective. It's black on white, pun intended, given the nature of those redactions. And you can make all the excuses in the world. The only people who are going to buy those bullshit excuses are people who are already so blindly convinced it doesn't matter. There are plenty of people, and even between Massey and Ro Khanna, imagine you play this properly, and you comply, and you actually sway the voters or the supporters of both Ro Khanna and Tom Massey. Imagine what you have then for the midterms. And the amazing thing is, maybe this all plays out absolutely perfectly. Maybe this plays out that the information comes out on the eve of the 2026 midterms. It is as damning as I believe it is to Democrats, and it actually sways the midterms. And maybe that works. And if that's what you're playing for, you're taking one hell of a gambit. Maybe that's the way it pans out. But for the time being, it's caused unnecessary damage. And even if it does pan out that way, you don't get to claim he was playing 50D chess, because it didn't have to go that way, and rely on that Hail Mary. Because you know what I bet? Do y'all remember this picture? This one's old. This one's as old as Methuselah. This one's as old as Bill Clinton. Look at that face. Oh yeah. And it's the underjaw. It's like the underbite of a bulldog. Like, oh yeah. Get in that deep tissue massage. That's Virginia Giuffre, one of Jeffrey Epstein's sex victims. I was like, oh my goodness. Once you see Bill Clinton's O face, you never unsee it. I was like, oh, this is a picture that just came out, released, redacted. And I do wonder who's behind that redaction. Is it a unnecessary redaction to make Bill Clinton look a little bit more sus? It's like, oh, I know that face. I know that Bill Clinton O face, and it's the stuff of nightmares that you don't want to know about. He's sitting in a hot tub somewhere in the Epstein place in a moment of, what's the word I'm looking for? Superficial body pleasure. This is what's coming out of it. Whether or not there are other people and they're actively trying to protect for other people in the administration or within the orbit, I don't know. But the problem is this: whether or not the Hail Mary works out and this information comes out on the eve of the 2026 midterms, and it's a, which way does it go in America? In Canada, it's the blue-red is totally inverted. It's a red wave. CBC, because, you know, they talk about Canadian news. At least 16 files have disappeared from the DOJ webpage for Epstein documents since their release. Missing documents included an image of a drawer containing a photograph of Donald Trump. Oh, yeah, I would really be more concerned about a drawer of a photograph of Donald Trump as opposed to Bill Clinton getting a back massage by a sex victim and in a jacuzzi. At least 16 files disappeared from the webpage, yada, 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 including a photograph showing U.S. President Donald Trump less than a day after they were posted with no explanation given. Oh. Missing files, which were available Friday, are no longer accessible Saturday, include images of paintings depicting nude women and one showing a series of photographs along a credenza in drawers. In that image, inside a drawer, was a photograph of Trump alongside Epstein, Melania, and Epstein's longtime associate. DOJ did not say why it removed the photos, or whether their disappearance was intentional. Online, the unexplained missing files fueled speculation about what was taken down and why the public was not notified, compounding long-standing intrigue. It's just great. Transparency, just take it down, no explanation. I don't even know, like maybe they uploaded them by accident. Who the hell knows? But what was revealed, and the more that's revealed, the more the usual suspects in incriminating situations come up. Photos from the latest batch of Epstein files: Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, and Richard Branson among the people who appeared in the thousands of documents released by the U.S. Justice Department on Friday. By the way, the stuff we were told didn't exist, apparently. Let's go down here. I want to see who these are. So we got Sarah Ferguson in a partially redacted photo. Bill Clinton in a partially redacted photo. Well, at least he's got his, looks like he's got his shorts on. Then we got this guy here, Richard Branson, Peter Mandelson, and Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein, partially redacted, surrounded by what appear to be probably, well, that looks naked, and I would imagine they're either young or whatever. Ghislaine Maxwell, Chris Tucker, partially redacted photo. Ghislaine Maxwell and David Copperfield. Ghislaine Maxwell, former Prince Andrew. Oh, Prince Andrew. Where do I know him from? Oh, yeah, that's right. Bill Clinton, partially redacted. I would presume that one, they've redacted the photograph in the back as well. Presume that's Ghislaine Maxwell. Bill Clinton, Mick Jagger, Ghislaine Maxwell. My goodness, I tell you, sometimes it's good not to have that many friends, people. Jeffrey Epstein, Michael Jackson. Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey. Jeffrey Epstein, redacted. Chris Tucker. Mick Jagger, holy crab apples, people. Yep, that's it. Get married young. Stay married. Keep your schmeckle in your pants. Don't go out after 10 o'clock at night. Nothing good happens after 10 o'clock at night. That's the Epstein stuff.